boundaries are more, what's the word, porous than they used to be. And that has to do with the kind of access we have to information. I mean, here we are in a small room at a in a building on a campus in Kent, Ohio, the bucolic sort of suburb of Akron, you know, and we're having the ability through this technology to be anywhere in the world, right? And so some of those characteristics that used to be a little more solid are like a lot of things. There's blurred edges on it, and that makes it both uncertain for some people and exciting and interesting for others. A value that people have in Ohio writing is that it needs to be accessible. Okay, experimental writing is still not highly valued, I think, and that isn't to say there aren't people doing it, but even if you look around at the writers in Ohio, you look at who's hired to teach at which universities, they're not terribly experimental. They'll be a bit, but it's not like some writers that you'll find, and it's pretty typically East and West Coast, where the work is really, really well out of the center and doing really interesting things, but it's viewed there as almost essential for the art. And I think here it's viewed as kind of being, well, that's kind of interesting, and I see what they're doing, but I think that people are just more comfortable with kind of traditional or kind of mainstream work. And but on the same hand, there's an acceptance of new forms, but as new forms, as some kind of, well, that's really interesting. When are you going to write a real story? You know what I mean? And I think that's changing now. But I think that has been a kind of prevalent. I think that a lot of publishers, like independent publishers, tend to be attracted to a kind of writing that is in the tradition of writing the way it's been, because their audience may typically be Midwestern readers. You still have to sell books if you're a publisher. But with the fact that we can see anything we want to now and publish anywhere we want to, you can live in Ohio and be as experimental as you want to, you just have to find places to publish that. And I think that there are other people who are elsewhere maybe who submit work here. I think that the community writers are very traditional. I mean, you go to open mics a lot of places, and people are still doing the same lyric narrative pieces that have been around since the 80s. And they or their own imaginations are the heroes of their own poems. And they're not really moving forward on that. There's really several variations on Ohio and Midwest writing going on now. I think that like Chicago has a lot more experimental writing than we do here. But I think that going across the state, here in Indiana, it's pretty much what it is.